Hello and welcome back to the Spin the Rod podcast. I'm your host, Angel, and with me today is my co-host,
The Beast.
the Beast. That's crazy, bro.
Who's just telling me I'm not the Beast, bro? Like I'm Vaughn in the past episodes, but this episode I'm the Beast.
this episode alone, you're the Beast. Next episode, uh, who knows if we'll ever see the Beast again at this rate. Baxter is going on right now. Just a little soft open. I do want to talk about this, how little we know about the other leagues. Because there was some drama. Luka went to shake hands with Yabusele. They shook hands. And as Luka is walking away, this man, I don't know what the Beast took over this man. Because he then went to shoot a layup so that way he could have a higher point differential. So there's some drama with Luka saying that was disrespectful. Yabusele was like, he's kind of right, but at the same time, point differential does matter in Eurobasket. And then NBA fans were like, what a scummy move. I think he said that in hindsight, next time he wouldn't shake the hand and just drive for the basket, which is even still kind of funny. How do you feel about this, Vaughn? This drama, this beef.
I hearing that for the first time, I love it. Yabusele been feeling himself since Olympics.
Yeah.
He had a good NBA year. He's feeling himself again. He's I can't blame him for being objective driven. He's really going for it, even though it's like minus 1,000 image. Um, it's funny as hell. I'm glad it happened though.
Yeah, it also just goes to show how little we know about Eurobasket. Because everyone, all the people that are mad at him are like, it's not like point differential matters, and everyone's like, it does matter in Eurobasket. And so
Yeah, I think even if that move was pulled here in the US, I think it wouldn't be as heavy of a topic. Even heavy is a bit of a stretch, but like as serious as it is. But in Europe, it's a different deal. So it is. It's just different like that.
I mean, got to get the bag somehow, bro. All right, and getting into more actual news, I'm starting off with, I think this is the biggest piece of news that an announcer will ever have. Doris Burke has officially been moved off the finals broadcasting team. I don't know who's replacing her. I do know there is someone, like it's already been announced too. I just don't know. Yeah,
It's
that
Tim
guy.
Legler.
And this blew up. People are either, meaning this and showing up her past clips of of her finals calls, or other people are saying she's too much of a legend to be disrespected like this. How do you feel about it, Vaughn?
I've never been a Doris Burke hater and not really a lover per se. That's a bit of a fence-sitting take, but I will say, ever since the NBA implemented the challenge, I think she's been a little washed. I think she's been second guessing herself like so much ever since they implemented the challenge, and it just bled into like the rest of her commentary in some aspects. At some point, she's just like talking like how I'm talking without a clear objective. But it's a difficult job. I'll give it that. But I don't think some of the outcry is unfounded. I think there's a reason to criticize what she's been saying lately.
Yeah, I will say, um, I don't know. I feel like we have a lot of out of pocket commentators. She's not the worst of them. I think most of it is just like cringe, like the famous, Wolves Thunder series where Gobert blows past Hartenstein, and she's like, I don't know a lot of things about history, but I know that French and the German don't get along, and Rudy Gobert says "Sacre bleu." So, yeah, that's pretty bad, but I don't know, bro. I just feel like she is a good commentator, and it can't be all bangers, bro. There's 82 games in the NBA season, plus God knows how many more when you're doing a playoffs as a commentator. Like you're gonna have a few misses. Was last year pretty bad for her? Yes, but like I don't know, to demote her is kind of crazy. And also to
Yeah.
do it so early, bro, like the season isn't even started.
Well, I guess it's better to just know now than rather than getting
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
flashbang by it like come playoff time, you know. So I guess this would be the optimal time. But yeah, I've never I don't know anyone else who's been demoted off finals broadcast other than just being outright fired.
I
So
guess Reggie Miller was because Reggie Miller got demoted because of the Pacer. He kept clearly showing bias to the Pacers.
mm,
But
yeah,
that's different, I guess.
yeah, because I just feel like this is way more of a big deal in the news than the Reggie Miller thing.
Yeah, it is. People, like I said, it's a big because Reggie Miller he was demoted and people were talking about it, but like, bro, the Doris Burke thing, people have been talking about it still. Like I still see people talking about it, and it got announced like what 3 days ago.
Yeah, and it's been a mob out there. They've been they've been showing all her low lights. It's just like
Yeah, bro.
that's not who she is all encompassing. So it's a little unfair, but it is funny.
No, I'm not gonna lie. Her little lights, though, I don't know. I think they're kind of funny. Like, I get that this is like a professional broadcaster, but like, I don't know, bro. Yeah, it's cringe, but it's like still funny. It has like watching the game with my aunt kind of energy.
Yeah, honestly, I would be saying the same thing. The difference is she's saying it with like full sincerity, whereas I think most people would be more tongue in cheek about it.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. All right, moving on, bro. Our era of basketball is coming to an end. Nostalgia has been hitting me hard, and it's not good that it's this piece of news. So John Wall, Jeremy Lin, Benanelli, all retired from the game of basketball not too long ago. Um, yeah, bro. It seems like the curtains are coming to close on our childhood, bro. We talked about how Melo, is starting to be replaced by LaMelo. And, kids are starting to associate that nickname with LaMelo Ball. That was like the curtain slowly coming down. Now the curtain has dropped, bro. How do you feel about these retirements? How do you feel about them as players as well?
Uh, piece of my soul dies as a fan of the game every time I see this. Jeremy Lin,
Yeah,
he was
bro.
such a fan favorite of mine. Like we've discussed him in the past, where like we thought like Nets Jeremy Lin was gonna be the best Jeremy Lin before that injury went down, and all that transpired after, and he struggled to find teams, became an NBA champ, and kind of just floated overseas. Now to see that wrap up completely, yeah, that hurts. John Wall, the king of the mixtape, like he's got to be like the prime of all mixtapes. Um, and to constantly kind of be rooting for him, like someone could use John Wall, someone could use John Wall, and he's just never getting signed. Again, to close that book, it hurts. Marco Bellinelli, bro, is always so sneakily good. Like one of those shooting guards that you could pull up like a highlight reel. And like that's not a player you expect a highlight reel of, but he's made clutch shots in his career, so it's just wild. We're getting so many of these at once.
Yeah, it's I think John Wall hurts a lot because like I think there's John Wall and Jeremy Lin hurt a lot because I think there was a period of time where you honestly thought any minute now they will be the player they once were. And like injuries and just not even dumb decisions, but like just decisions that didn't make sense, like kept happening, like John Wall um, leaving the Wizards, like it made sense at the time, but then you look back at it and then you realize that like that man really was never in a Rockets uniform. Like I'm pretty sure if you look up John Wall in Rockets uniform, they might be from like 5 games at max. And like this the stories about his injury, like I don't know if this is true or not, but I remember the story being that he slipped getting out of the shower, and like to think that like if that is true, that's the reason why like his career just kind of spiraled after that. And then like the Clippers that summer before he joined the Clippers, everyone thought that team was going to be dangerous. Like they all looked like top peak form, and they just
Bro,
never
I
played
said they
together,
were
bro.
going to the finals. That's how much I believed in them, and I've never put my hat in their basket ever again.
Yeah,
That
so
Clippers team broke me.
that Clippers team really did damage to your soul. And the same with Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin was one of those guys where if you knew ball, you knew he was always good. You know, like I said it before, like he helped Charlotte go to the playoffs that year. Like he was a key factor in the Hornets run that season. And then he goes to the Nets, and like I'm not gonna lie, bro, I thought that was gonna be his All-Star year. And it just, that iconic injury where he looks in the camera and you can kind of tell that he knows it's over. It just kind of sucks that like that man just like never was really fully bought. Like no one really believed in him. Like the Knicks traded him away because of Carmelo's request, and then the Lakers never really gave him a chance. And Linsanity, Linsanity was such a like movement, bro. Like Linsanity is the reason why Fanatics exist, bro. Like it's insane how much that man like impacted our culture and like impacted people as well. Like you can look up any Asian American basketball player and they say Jeremy Lin was like their hero. Like that man really made an impact on basketball a lot more than like anyone watching this podcast might think.
Right, like even after the NBA, he found like overseas success. I think he was a champion in whatever league he went to. So it's
Mhm.
just like he definitely could have been in the NBA for longer, but the NBA just does not like, smaller type guards, unfortunately. But,
Yeah.
it it is at least one of those players, who's kind of been enshrined by the people, even if the NBA won't do it.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna say anything about Marco because I'm not gonna lie, bro. I don't know anything about that man. He was just a name I always knew. He was almost like what's his name? Oh, I don't know his name, but he was just one of those role players that like everyone knew him. Like Dragic, Goran Dragic. Like he was never necessarily good, but like you always knew that if you had him on his team, you liked him because he was a solid player that can like help you win a game. And so it just kind of feels weird that like that's a name I've always heard, and now he's retiring.
I remember laughing when he signed to the Sixers because I thought he was like a bum. And then they met the Celtics in playoff time and he was like killing us. Like he nearly won them the game on his own shooting. Um so I'm like, oh my, I gotta open my eyes, this guy. And he's always kind of just had those moments where all of a sudden he of all people steps up and is just, you know, reliable for one game. But that's how role players go. Like you're there one game and you're not always there the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he was still meant to be respected as a shooter at least.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to our main topic, but also even though Eugene's not here, I still have a hot seat prepared. And today's hot seat is how little and no, let me rephrase this question. Do divisions matter in the NBA, and how often do you think about divisions in the NBA?
Divisions in the NBA. What do you mean? Like,
Exactly. I'm talking like the Central Division, like how there's like in the conferences they break each team in four like groups of four.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, the divisions. Yeah. I
But you
think
kind of answered my question.
it, no one in the NBA thinks divisions, right? Like, oh, who's
Yeah.
the king of the Atlantic Division? Like that shit only shows up in like an Instagram analysis post or something, breaking teams down. The league at large, the NBA itself really doesn't feel like it puts any focus on divisions. Like a
Mhm.
division rival, if they try to push that, everyone's sleeping on that. Who cares?
Yeah.
It really is only like scheduling games, deciding like you're obviously going to face your other teams in your division more than other teams out of your division, but like uh, you can't get me as an NBA fan to care about divisions. Like they could get rid of them and it would make no difference to me. It's always just going to be Eastern Conference versus Western Conference in my head when it comes to the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people often even forget they exist, bro. Like, no one can tell me who was the head of the Central Division last year. Like, no one can tell me, you know, no one can tell me all of the divisions. No one can list me the name of every single one. Because if you can, bro, that's insane ball knowledge. Because I can't. Like, I know Central, I know Atlantic, and I know Pacific. The other like six, I don't know. And so like I think I know why they're there, and they probably did used to have a purpose, but I just think it's so funny that like, you know, divisions have just lost all meaning into the NBA where they're not even like a talking point. Like nobody even brings them up. Nobody even mentions divisions. Like when was the last time someone said this team won the Central Division last year, so we're expecting a lot of them. Like it's probably been 40 years since someone said that sentence. So it's just like, goes to show that like there's so many things in the NBA that like exist that we still just like don't even recognize.
Yeah, I don't even think like the NBA has to do anything to make it more important. Like I
No.
said, it's just like it's there. I know it's there for like scheduling and and all that, but just like it doesn't need to be any more than it is, really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that being said, we're putting divisions to use because I guess would say I wanted to do a deep dive of every team for the first time ever. And maybe not a deep dive, but just a dive into every team this off season. And the visions just kind of put every team in a group that like makes it easier to pick, I don't have to be like, okay, today we're gonna talk about the Celtics, the Cavs, and the Pacers because I felt like it. It kind of gives us a kind of set group of teams to talk about. So with that being said, today we're gonna talk about the teams in the Central Division. And that's the only reason why I brought them up so many times. So the teams in the Central Division are the Cavs, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Pistons, and the Bulls. So with that being said, like I said, it won't be a deep dive. It'll just be us kind of talking about the team, what we expect from them. A lot more than what we would do in our tier list, where we just kind of say, oh, they're going to be this good next. It'll be like little segments where we kind of go into the players, what they lost, what they didn't. Starting with the bottom of the barrel in this division with the Chicago Bulls. They were 39-43 last year, with a 47% win percentage. Let's see, and then I want to know their home and away record, but it's not showing me that. Oh well, but yeah. So they were, of course, the bottom of the Central Division, but they were also last year they were 10th in the Eastern Conference. How do you feel about the Bulls, Vaughn? Is there any bright spots with this team, or is it all doom and gloom as Chicago fans have been making it sound?
Bro, the Bulls, they're one of those purgatory teams, bro. The Bulls just, we've been saying it for years, rebuild, 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 and they've never 100% put their eggs in that basket. It's just dog shit. I would hate to be a Bulls fan. Just like, why is Vooch there? Kobe White, his trade value is probably up here, the highest it's probably ever been. And they're not going to trade him. It seems like. And you look at their younger guys, they don't want to give Josh Giddey a contract. So just like, why are you hanging on to him? Why do you want to shortchange him? Just let him go. You could just go all in on, Modest Buzelis and your prospects, your rookies and all that. But they're not going to do that, bro. They're just doing it to sell tickets, I think. Because I think a full rebuild team, fans aren't going to want to watch that versus like, are they going to make play in this year? Are they going to like maybe squeeze in the playoffs? I think that might sell more tickets and that might be it. Other than that, it's just stupidity, bro. I couldn't tell you what it is that goes through in the front office's head. That just, oh, let's try again this year. Same team, basically. I know DeMar and Zach LaVine are gone, but how many years did it take for them to move off of them?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The Bulls, they're just kind of in this weird spot where I'm going to say something that I feel like a lot of people don't even really think about. I feel like the play-in has helped a lot of teams. This is one of the very few teams. I think there's only like maybe one other team to play in hurt. And the Bulls are one of those teams because they keep using the fact that they make the play-ins as an excuse not to blow it all up. And like they held on to, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan for a little too long. Like you said, they still have Vooch. And it just seems like they're using the play-ins and the fact that they use the play-ins to not rebuild. And it just kind of makes you think, like, what is their next move? Like, what are they really thinking at this rate? It took Kobe White last year to finally be fully relied on and be seen as probably one of the main guys. I think Kobe White, was one of those draft picks that everybody was excited about, but because the Bulls just kept putting players above him, never really giving him that, like, this is our point guard. It took like 2 years ago, and even like some might even say last year was his first, like, you're the guy now year. And then, yeah, like Vaughn said, when you really think about it, I feel like they just need to build around Buzelis, bro. Because Lonzo Ball, he's returning for the first time, like this year. Sometime this year is when he will finally see him on
Man,
the court.
that man's not even on the Bulls anymore. He's on the Cavs. So like,
That's right. That's right.
they have even
I
less to
forgot
look
about
forward
that.
to.
Yeah. They just have a lot of like young guys that they aren't really building up. They're just kind of like throwing darts at the wall, just kind of seeing what sticks.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have a good player development situation over there because I remember Patrick Williams was like their big prospect,
Yeah.
and they even gave him like a fat $100 million contract. I think that man is not a good NBA player, and he's there. He's still there. He exists. He's kind of not doing anything. It feels like every time I watch him, but he's there. It's just, is that going to be more they have to offer, or are they finally going to, either hit on a pick on generational talent? I don't know. I don't know what Modest Buzelis is going to turn out to be, or are they going to like squander it? So
Yeah.
any direction they go, I don't have high hopes for.
And not only that, but it just seems like they don't even do anything exciting, bro. Like there's been multiple years where they did nothing at the trade window. And like there's been multiple years where they didn't sign any big name free agent. And so it's just kind of like, are they building to the draft? Honestly can't say they are because it's not like they're trading for picks. It's not like they're, getting rid of players they're not going to use for more picks and, and filling in the gaps that way. It's not like they're, like I said, building around these rookies. Like it just seems like they're building just a good enough team to make the play-ins and then, rinse and repeat this following year. And like last year they showed signs of like maybe being a better team. They got Josh Giddey. They had a little run near there at the end where they beat the Lakers in overtime and all that good stuff. But then they get to the play-ins and they get absolutely dog walked. And so it's just like, what are we doing here, bro?
Yeah, if you asked me to be a fan for the next 5 years of the Bulls or the Hornets, I would choose the Hornets. At least they have some good prospects, some young players that are up and coming. The Bulls are just such a question mark where they're going, what everyone's thinking. I don't even like the coach. Why is Billy Donovan still there?
No, for real.
Yeah, I could not deal. I think I would have to leave the NBA. I have to stop watching if I was a Bulls fan.
Not only why is Billy Donovan still there, why is he getting an extension?
Right. That was this season, right?
Yeah, bro. He got an extension like a month ago, bro. Like, what are we doing at this rate?
Like you don't even want to like try and, look for something new because Billy Donovan doesn't seem like a development type coach. He's always trying to, maximize how he looks on the winning record. And yeah, maybe they get close to play-in tournament versus like a worse coach who would develop the players more, but they would be better. They would have a better future for it.
Next up are the Pistons. And if I'm laughing, you'll never know why. Next up are the Pistons. Last year, they finished sixth in the East. They had a record of 44-38, win percentage of 53. They were 29-23 against other East opponents and 15-15 against West opponents. I want to kind of go first. I think this team basically won the season in a sense of they bounced back from one of the worst years ever in NBA history to finish sixth in the East. And not just kind of like barely finishing sixth in the East. They were like 3 games above the Magic. Only a couple games behind the Bucks. The moves they made seem smart. The players they utilized was genius. It's just what happens next year that I'm concerned about, especially because they lost such a big piece, and their way of solving that was signing 3 versions of that guy. Signing 3 lesser versions of Malik Beasley is basically their answer to him most likely not playing that season. And so I'm just kind of wondering, like, where do they go from here? Can they repeat that success? Will they be better than we think? How do you feel about the Pistons, Vaughn?
I know Malik Beasley will be gone, but Jaden Ivey will be back from injury. So maybe he fulfills that role. At least I would hope so. I think we shouldn't be surprised when they make playoffs again, but I think their goal should at least be getting out of the first round this time.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Like you expect all the young guys to get just a little bit better. You still have your vets around you. There's no reason why you couldn't, unless like they somehow get the injury bug. But without the Pacers being, with their star player, the Celtics now without their star player, it's way more doable. Now, if we talk about Eastern Conference Finals, I think we're getting a little crazy. But why not? If the East is wide open, why not? At least from a fan perspective of the NBA, I'm finally excited to watch the Pistons. Which, like, even when Blake Griffin was like dragging them to the playoffs, I wasn't like excited for that. But now Cade Cunningham finally is their star player they drafted or developed, and now he's leading the way. And now he's got shooters, he's got a little bit of defense. Uh yeah, I'm actually excited for them.
Yeah. I think yeah, that's a very awesome and optimistic way of looking at it. And I think you are right. This might be the first year ever where people actually tune into them, and actually like keep track on the Pistons. I think, yeah, if they make the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised. especially like you said, there's so many holes in the East now that like even if they are worse than they were last year, and losing Malik Beasley was as big of a deal as it seems, like I feel like they could still finish sixth in the East and still, and still have a chance of making it past the first round. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Cade Cunningham blossomed, looked like an all-star player. And probably like in the sense of like, oh yeah, no doubt in my mind, is he an all-star? And not like, if you say that, you might be looked at sideways, like it just goes to show that like the young players, everyone they have, even with the rough start they've been having, it's like it's working out for them. And they have such a crucial core of guys who like I'm so excited this just past Cade. Like, uh Jaden Ivey, Dalen Duran, uh, those three guys are just like, bro, I'm not even gonna lie. Jalen Duran was like a guy I wasn't even really paying attention to like that. And then like he just kind of shown that he's one of the core people on that team. And
Yeah, I think rookie year he had high expectations and he didn't meet those, and why it was kind of like quiet afterwards. But then like last year happened. It's like, oh, okay, now you have to pay attention.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, he's only been in the league for 3 years. Like, I feel like people forget that. Like, his rookie year didn't go as planned. People immediately slept on him, and then he showed up kind of towards the end of the year, kind of really shown like I'm still here. And then all of a sudden, people are like, acting like they've been hyped on him this entire time. I am not gonna lie, their pickups are also just like so interesting. It's like they get the misfits of the league, but they do something with them, bro. Like Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder, like they should have not been so good last year, bro. Dennis Schroeder literally won them games against the Knicks. And like I just like I look at this team and I see that they have those misfits again. Like they have Duncan Robinson. Like, how is he gonna do? Tobias Harris. I know he was with them last year, but like how is he gonna look next year? Um, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot about we haven't talked about Star Thompson, bro.
Oh, true. Arguably like the second most important player on that team.
Like I like probably if depending on who you ask, could be the better Thompson twin. And that man is just insane. Like he's literally built for basketball. And was once again like someone you didn't expect to help the Pistons as much as he did last year. Like no one expected him to be 2 years in being a key player,
Yeah, that
especially from the
defensive regime.
overtime league.
Right, like of all places. I don't know if we've ever seen a player like that with that background be as good as he is right now. Besides the Thompson twins, the city of Detroit just has to come together, hold hands, and pray that he gets a killer 3-point shot. Because after that, like, what do you do? Um,
Yeah.
that's just the one thing standing in their way. It's just I'm really just hoping that they embarrass some team in the playoffs. I really wanted it to be the Knicks last year. So coming into this season, I hope it's a different team. Why not let it be the Knicks this year? I, I'd
Why
rather
not
my team
again?
last year. I would love if the Knicks got embarrassed.
Yeah, bro. I mean, it almost happened too, bro. It almost happened. All right. This is kind of showing me that the Central was stacked last year. The Bulls really brought down the Central's reputation. Because next up is the Bucks. And I say stacked as in a sense of there's a lot of teams who make the playoffs, not stacked as in good. um,
All right.
Next up is the Bucks, 48-34, 58% win percentage. They finished last year. They finished fifth in the league, or fifth in the Eastern Conference. They were 31-21 against the East and 17-13 against the West. How did you feel about the Bucks last season, Vaughn? And how do you feel about the Bucks coming into this season?
They finished about where I expected, where a Doc Rivers led team would go. Like they weren't going to get out of the first round based on his performance and the way the team was structured. Like they didn't really improve on the previous year, other than they got Dame, who was a better scorer than Drew, but like all their fill-ins, just wasn't getting the job done. It
Mhm.
ended as sad as it was last year, and I can't see it being better than last year. I don't see them being any better than fifth. You lose Dame, one of the best scorers ever, and Brooke Lopez, who was your defensive anchor for the longest time, and replace him with Miles Turner, who, like, yeah, he could be the defensive anchor, but to be one of the best scorers ever to replace that production, that's not happening. Um, I think the only thing that feels safe about the Bucks for this season and this season alone is that Giannis is staying. I know there was so much speculation. Even Shams was like, "Is Giannis staying? Is he going this season?" But after they sign his brother again, I think he's pretty locked up for this one season at least. Um, but maybe some crazy thing happens and Giannis is requesting a trade deadline. I would doubt that. But I don't. I would rather watch the Pistons than the Bucks, to be honest, based on their positioning and what their future is looking like. Which I feel so bad for Giannis, but at the same time I don't.
Yeah, you
Those
got your championship.
right. He got it with the city that he's drafted in. Um, but at the same time, I can't be like Giannis requests a trade. Giannis requests a trade. I feel like there's a move the Bucks are missing, or just not even considering. It feels like they're in a rut, almost on some Atlanta Hawks type shit before this crazy offseason for the Hawks. Like the Bucks are kind of just like milling about. It's like you should be doing a crazy move right now. Um, After they released Dame, and it's kind of just been Miles Turner's been the biggest move, and it's like not the thing that's gonna put you over the hump. You have to make up what you just lost, and they just haven't done it yet. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I'm a doomer on the Bucks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a huge doomer. If basketball didn't have 82 games, I would try to predict. I think they're gonna have a losing record, and I think their future is a lot more gloomy than Bucks fans think it is. Unless but they just have no draft picks coming up. They have that threat of Giannis leaving any second now. It just seems like will he, won't he? And I feel like that's just like not fun as a fan of your star player. Just like will he stay? Will he not stay for like the next 3 years? It's just not going to be a good time. Uh, their team, the team they have built right now, doesn't give me faith in them being better. I like the Cole Anthony pickup, but after that, they re-signed what's his name? Kevin Porter Jr. They re-signed him. And then they got Miles Turner. But in hindsight, it's like, do they need another big man? Like you lost Dame, you know, uh Drew Holiday left. Um what's his dude, I'm forgetting everybody's name right now. He went to the Wizards.
Oh, Chris Middleton.
Yes, sorry. Right now I can't remember anybody's name. Chris Middleton has never been the same since you won the championship. It just seems like all your spacing is just nowhere to be seen, and you just have a bunch of mid-range specialists and paint dominators. And like if this was the
Like what could
'90s,
we right?
if this was
Especially
the
around
'90s,
Giannis. Like you can't have that basketball around him. Like what are the expectations really that Kyle Kuzma does anything?
yeah,
Pretty low. Like uh, Cole Anthony, like maybe he gets a lot of scoring done, but like to the level Dame was at, I doubt it. It's just like we've all got lesser versions of players that won on that championship team. It's just kind of they're kind of chasing what they can't recreate.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just like I said, it's just like right now you have Doc Rivers as a coach. You have Giannis, you know, that threat of a trade any second now. You have no draft picks for your future. And then you went out and traded for Miles Turner. You know, it's just like right now the future is so uncertain for the Bucks, and I feel like there's so much going wrong with this team that like I'm not gonna be surprised if they're poverty in 5 years' time. Because like the time to trade Giannis was this offseason. You had like multiple generational players in this draft. You have no draft picks. You know, you have literally nothing to your name. Trade Giannis, get that first round pick, second round pick, and hoard more, and then like just kind of restart. Right now, you're in this place where if Giannis requests a trade in the middle of the season, like realistically, yes, you can get a lot for Giannis, but it's gonna be a rough 5 years if he requests a trade like in the middle of the season or this next off season.
Right. I think we're also kind of looking at it the wrong way. Like the Bucks probably know this too. Giannis might be like secure for this season, but what if the front office is like, well, it's looking gloomy, and we just have to get rid of him now to save our future. It could be them pulling the trigger, not Giannis.
It could be, but if they're signing Thanasis, is it really? Is it really them?
That's very true. But anything could change in this season. They could be so tremendously bad that's like, oh, we have to do something now.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, just bad time to be a Bucks fan. If you're a Bucks fan, you have to get your ticket to see Giannis live if you can this season because you don't know how much you got left.
Or Kuzma, bro.
Kuzma, bro. Yeah,
it's just
you got to see that new number 0 on his jersey.
And like I could be a Bucks casual. There might be Bucks fans out there is like, nah, you don't know the secret sauce. Like we're gonna be good, trust. But like I'm looking at this roster and I'm like, no way in hell is this the secret sauce. Like
Yeah.
Bobby Portis, Giannis, and Miles Turner are the only names that get me excited.
Yeah, and maybe I guess one thing of it is the Bucks might be scared of letting Giannis go because they'll never get a player like that again. Because they seem really bad at drafting. Like name one draft pick in the last 5 years that the Bucks have hit on. Like the last one I can remember that's decent was Dante DiVincenzo in like 2019 or whatever. Ever since, it's just been crickets among the draft. So maybe they're just not trusting what they could rebuild off of once Giannis is gone, which that would be a scary thing.
And it's crazy because like the roster is mostly their draft picks. Like Chris Livingston is still there. No, they got
Hold on.
them. No,
Can't really hear you that well.
Oh, how about now?
Kind of the same.
Can you hear me now? It's like
Yeah, okay, I hear
you. You think about it as like Kevin Porter, but even him, like, well, no, I feel like I'm not excited about him as I should be.
No, like what I saw of him last year wasn't like I feel like he's lucky to be coming off the bench. They just have no other
I
option.
think he's lucky to even have a contract. Like I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they re-signed him. Yeah, you have to go pretty far back, bro. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the Bucks. Like I said, I'm kind of a doomer in this, like with them. Like I have no faith in them. I think they will be worse this year, and I think that not only will they be worse this year, but they might be poverty in the next 3 to 5 years. That we might be seeing them at the bottom of the Eastern Conference any day now. All right. Speaking of poverty and Miles Turner. The Pacers are up next in the Central Division. Probably another team who just won the season. 50 wins, 32 losses for a percentage of 61%. 29-22 against the East, 21-10 against the West. Went to the finals last year as the 4th seed. How do you feel about the Pacers coming up next, especially now they lost both Turner and Halliburton in the same year? How do you feel about the Pacers? And how did you feel about them last year?
You know, for a team that is coming from the finals, I think for them it'd be best to have no expectations. I think you take the season to experiment with some players and lineups. We haven't seen a whole lot of Jarris Walker, and that's been like their prospect this whole time. But now that Miles Turner's gone, you know, some big man minutes will be freed up. Andrew Nemhard, I feel like is more of a playoff player than he is a regular season player. We'll have to see like what he'll do. I'm assuming he's the starting point guard. And they'll bring TJ McConnell off the bench as usual, but you know, like I said, experimentation, see what works. And I don't really know who they drafted. Oh, Furphy? Oh no, that was from last season. Throw him in there at some points, you know. See what you really got for your depth in terms of the roster. Because I don't know where they're landing. I don't think, you know, being that Tyrese Halliburton was the engine in the offense, I don't see them being worse than the Bucks, you know, so they'll at least be decent, I would hope. Especially in the weak East, they should still be a playoff team. I don't see who is overtaking them in that category, but like you're just not going to replicate that magic from last season without your star point guard. So just do anything, try everything.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be definitely a quiet year for the Pacers, and I think that might be a good thing after coming out of the finals, you know, and taking the Thunder to 7. I think that might be good. Um, it's just, you know, I think it's a bad year for all of that to happen to them because it might even be growing pains next year as well. You know, TJ McConnell's only getting older. Tyrese Halliburton's gonna come back, you know, off of us, like, you know, off of that ACL tear. Like, he's gonna be slow to start. Um, you know, who knows what they may lose coming up next season? You know, who they'll have to trade, who they uh will lose in free agency. Um, their prospects aren't really super exciting. It's Cam Jones from Marquette, and then Taylor Peter from Liberty, who one was a second round, both were second round picks. So it's just like I mean they could be steals in the draft, but they're both also, I'm pretty sure they're both guards as well. So, you know, when Halliburton comes back, are they still gonna have that chance? Um, I'm just I just think that it's not going to be a team that will, you know, this season's going to be, you know, mediocre and then next season they're going to bounce right back. I think it's going to be and I could be wrong because they prove us wrong like almost every season. But I think it's going to be a team that like we're not going to see them back to where they were for a bit. Um, I think there is still bright spots though, like Benedict Mathurin. You know, he has a chance to have the ball in his hands more. Pascal Siakam kind of proved last season that he's not second fiddle. It's more like 1A and 1B. And so he has a chance to like kind of, you know, maybe, you know, prove us wrong in a sense. Like Halliburton and Turner weren't the only reason why we were good last year. Uh, so I'm Jay Huff. I'm excited to see how he's going to do as a Turner replacement. If he's going to be kind of just there for the rebounds or if he's actually going to be, you know, a center that kind of fill in that role. Because right now their centers, the center position is a question mark. It's Tony Bradley, Jay Huff, and James Wiseman, you know? And
And I
honestly,
think Isaiah Jackson as well. But that guy, both Wiseman and Jackson are coming off Achilles tears, so they're not going to be like 100% right away.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Tony Bradley, I've hated what I've seen from him every single time. So
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that he's like a toothpick out there, bro. He's 6'11", like he looks he looks like a toothpick in a in a sense of not Wemby, you know.
yeah,
So it's just
yeah,
like it's a lot of question marks for the Pacers next year.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know what their own fans have for expectations for them. I don't know where they see or where they want them to be. It's just you kind of got to cap it pretty low, all things considered, which sucks. Like being in this like spot where it's like, yeah, you're gonna watch them because you're a committed fan, but you know you're not gonna be as good as you should be or could be, considering you've
Yeah,
lost your star player. And yeah, they should be a team I'm excited for, but I can't say that I am.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess the good thing is like a lot of these younger guys are gonna have more experience for sure by the time Halliburton's back, and they're gonna have that experience of handling the ball more and being relied on a lot more. That when Halliburton comes back, it might help them. In hindsight, it might help them. In moving forward in the playoff runs. Bennett Matherin's only 23. Nemhard and Naismith are only 25. So having them be relied on more might help them.
What would you say would be their greatest achievement this season? Like if we're at next off season looking back on this Pacers team, what would you say is like the greatest thing they could have done?
Make the playoffs again.
Any
I think a
playoffs?
lot of people don't think they're gonna make the playoffs again. And I mean when I say make playoffs, I mean be above 6 seed. If they can finish without having to go in the play-ins, I'm gonna be surprised, and I'm gonna say that's a success. Because right now, losing Halliburton and Turner, I feel like a lot of people think they're not. A lot of people didn't think they'll be good as last year with them. So I think a lot of people think that this year the East is up for grabs. I think the East is up for grabs. But if they, get finished 6 and above, I think that just goes to show that like this team's a lot more talented than we think, and we keep doubting them.
Yeah, I don't think that's unrealistic. I think if I were them, the goal would to hit on one of your young players taking a jump. So
Yeah,
regular season Andrew Nemhard stats is more like 10 points a game. Maybe he turns into a 20-point game guy.
yeah,
Or Bennett Mathurin turns into,
a
a 20
reliable
point guy.
sport.
Yeah, like better efficiency. Maybe his defense gets better. Something like that takes a jump. Or maybe the guys we don't know or know very little, like Ben Shepherd, turns into this amazing 3-and-D guy. It's just something that will carry over into next season, I think is what I'd like to see.
Yeah. So you're kind of thinking that this year is gonna be kind of like a growing year rather than like shoot for the stars.
Yeah, like even with that going into it, like they could be a playoff team, but like they're gonna lose maybe round one, round two if they're lucky.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be excited or even disappointed that they made it only that far just because this is the position they're in. But if
Yeah.
they can bring something back with Halliburton, back in the saddle, then I think you're just looking at a higher ceiling of a team.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And then lastly, in the Central Division, the best team in this division and the best team in the entire East was the Cleveland Cavs, 64-18, 78% win percentage, 41-11 against the East, 23-7 against the West. Like I said, they finished first in the East, and I'm pretty sure they were like the second best team in the entire league. I think the Thunder were the only team above them. Um, how do you feel about about the Cavs bond going into next year, and how do you feel about their finish last year?
Uh, I should be saying they're going to the finals. Bro, they might be in a Joel Embiid situation. Can't even make it to conference finals. Um, no matter how hard I believe in or how hard I want to see them succeed. Just like after what happened last year, I feel like someone important is always just going to be hurt. Last year was Darius Garland, um, and then Jared Allen. The lights are too bright again. Like, what's going to be different this time around? So I think they very well could be a 1 seed. Again, they could definitely repeat that, but something along the year, I have to see some sort of change, either like a roster spot or maybe just like maybe their offense is situated differently because a lot of times someone's playing hero ball a little too much. So maybe that does change and I can put more faith in them, but I'm not high on them getting to the conference finals this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, I have a prediction for this year, and that is Jared Allen will not finish the season on the team. I think he's getting traded this year. I think that he is more of a hindrance than he is a help. I think he's either injured or selling in the playoffs. There are very few times where he actually looks like he's a solid player on the team. And don't get me wrong, he does have moments where like, oh yeah, Jared Allen, he's important to this team. But that's like maybe 15 out of 82 games. The other games he's either, taking up space or he's just straight up injured. So I think this year they are gonna trade him. And I think this year they need to trade him. I'm not only saying that because I think they will, I think they need to, bro. Because it's just like his defense is one of the like key reasons to keep him, but it seems like that defense just disappears when it's most important. That defense is nowhere to be seen when it's time to win a game in clutch, when it's time to advance to the next round, when you need an important win in the series. It's just not there. It's there when they're smacking on the Heat, to go to the next round, but it's not there when they're getting blitzed by the Pacers and Donovan Mitchell is getting fouled left and right. It's just like it just seems like right now that's like the biggest factor is that they don't have anyone reliable past Mitchell and Mobley and Garland. You know, Mitchell, Mobley, and Garland are the only ones who consistently show out, and even they have injury problems. Max Strus,
Yeah.
6 Man of the Year contender. Where was he last year, bro? And now he's injured for the first 3 months. Um, they have Lonzo Ball, but like he's coming off of not playing basketball for almost 3 years now. DeAndre Hunter was a pickup. I think everybody was excited. Never saw the floor. Um, Larry Nance Jr. I don't even know why he's still in the league. Uh, I think they can be a top 3 seed in the regular season, but I think they're going to get tossed in the second round for the third year in a row. And I think at that point, Donovan Mitchell has threatened a trade twice now. And I think like if it doesn't work this season, you need to restart because there's no reason why you have $46 million, $39 million, $23 million. It's like they have a lot of money in this team for someone who can't even beat the Pacers, for someone who can't beat the Knicks. It just
Yeah. All that money, like a trade has to happen at some point, right? Like, imagine you don't make a trade and then Donovan Mitchell is frustrated and does request his trade out to force his way to, I don't know, New York or wherever.
yeah, where he
Um,
wanted to go originally.
yeah, and you never even attempted to like reshape the roster. That would just be a bad look. I'm not gonna say Jarrett Allen is the guy to go, but it's definitely not Evan Mobley.
No,
Um, Plus, like, there's so many teams out there that could use like a good defensive center that gets rebounds.
yeah,
And, you know, I know Cleveland has been apprehensive about making that change, but what here's going to like inspire confidence that what happened last year won't happen again. Because
Yeah,
last year I was saying this time the lights won't be too bright for Jared Allen, and it happened again. And I know the stats say otherwise. That what I'm gonna say, Allen and Mobley. The sheet says, oh, they're great defensively together, but in some instances, I just feel like they get in each other's way.
yeah,
Uh, Especially on the offensive end when Jared Allen can't really shoot. He's like more of a traditional offensive center. So maybe a change of scenery could benefit both of them. I know you won't have your double big lineup as it is now, but I feel like it just opens up the floor more for everyone. Um, I maybe they could just do that without trading him, based off the roster now. But it feels like they're so close, but they're not quite there.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, and they were the second best team in the entire league, bro. At one point, Eugene thought they weren't gonna lose until the All-Star break. Like they were dominating teams, and like not only that, but like they were projected to win like the finals by like November, bro. Everyone thought they were gonna win the finals, and just kind of watching them last year in the playoffs, just kind of how injured they were, how it fell on Mitchell's shoulder again. Like, how many times did this man have to carry a team? He's been doing it since Utah, and it's just like that's not gonna like he's not gonna put up with that for forever. And you can't just keep, throwing money at three guys, hoping that you could just kind of fill in the holes everywhere else. Uh, I don't know. I kind of called it last year, saying that they would uh, lose early on, but I don't know, bro. It just kind of, and I just feel like they don't have their priorities straight. Like trading a Coro for Lonzo Ball was not the move I think they needed to do. You know, I didn't think. Yeah, you know what they really need? A fourth point guard who was injured all for the past 3 years. It's just like I think what they really need is just someone they can rely on. Like I don't know, and I think they just are coached pretty poorly. Like Evan Mobley wasn't getting the ball in big games as much as he should have been. Uh, their theory of just kind of having Donovan Mitchell either shoot a three or get fouled was just not good. He was huffing and puffing in like the third quarter. Like, I don't know. I just feel like right now the Cavs are in a weird spot where they can probably be top three last year, another amazing season, and then go on next year and lose in the second round again. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not gonna lie. That would not shock
yeah, because I right now I couldn't put them over the Knicks in terms of playoff success. Just at least the Knicks are doing something to like reshape their team, with
me.
some off the bench signings for some depth and a coaching change. And Cavs have also had a coaching change, but it's clear to me that bad habits will always just return with this team with the hero ball. And there's certain times like Donovan Mitchell does need to play hero ball. There's like why are like key players missing open shots or just like forgetting how an offense works. It's really baffling. I don't know how that continues to happen, but it does. But yeah, it's a great regular season team. Low hopes for playoffs.
Yeah,
But like we've been saying, the East is wide open, especially with the Pacers and Celtics down as they are now.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, overall, I think the Central Division is a very odd division. You have, a, te- a the entire division went to the postseason last year, but at the same time, all of those teams have question marks. So it's just kind of like how many of them are going to bounce back and how many of them are going to sink. How many, will the Bulls rise after all? Who knows? We're going to do the next episodes up until the regular season are most likely all going to be division episodes. Maybe we'll put in like a different topic in between them. Sorry we've been gone so much. I think it's been like 2 weeks, 2-week break, 3-week break. But we're hoping, at least I am, to be around more. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of one of the reasons why we don't meet.
It's also been the dog days of the off season. Not a whole lot of
Yeah.
news been coming through either. So
Yeah, I'm hoping the divisions will add some spark to that. Next week, I'm thinking we're gonna jump to the West, to the Southwest Division, another division who had so many crazy things happen this offseason for them. If you don't know, the Southwest Division is the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Mavs, the Spurs, and the Pelicans. So that's going to be another hot start for the West. So tune in next week for that. If you're on listening on podcast platforms, make sure you give us that good old 5-star leave a review. If you're looking at the video format, we're on YouTube for video format, so make sure you subscribe there. Drop a comment. Let us know who's the most interesting team in the Central. Who do you have hopes for? And we're also on all social media platforms at Spin the Rock, so make sure you give us that good old follow. Check us out there for clips, episode updates, and all that good stuff. Until next week, we hope to see you again. Thank you again for watching. All right, brother. What the fuck? All right,
when
brother.
I look in the mirror, all right, what?
Yeah, next week is Southwest. And then, okay, so I'm hoping